Oh my goodness, so much fun we're having here in our TMS studios. We've just wrapped up our TMS Olympics and I've just gone through a bit of an outfit change. You know, winning myself a gold medal, so I'm going to keep it on. So don't be distracted. But listen, ETV is back, and this is where we dive into exciting career paths and share the inspiring stories of those making waves in their fields. Last week, Khosi spoke to Dr. Patricia Gous, senior lecturer at UNISA, to discuss the South African government's bold initiative to introduce coding and robotics into our schools from as early as grade R. Now today, we're continuing our journey into the dynamic world of IT and software engineering, one of the top in-demand fields in South Africa, with an industry professional who is actually leading the change. As we celebrate Women's Month, it's a true honor to welcome a trailblazer in technology, a woman who has not only excelled in her career, but is also paving the way for the next generation of tech leaders. We'd love to welcome to the morning show, Fanelesibonge Mbuyazi. Fanele, welcome to the morning show.
Good morning. You said it so perfectly.
Yes, Fanelesibonge. I must say, I was going through the script and I'm just like, wow, this is such a beautiful name. It's a really, really beautiful name. But we're here to celebrate you. Happy Women's Month, firstly.
Happy Women's Month too.
How did you spend your day celebrating Women's Day?
I spent it, we actually had a talk where we actually tried to merge media and tech. So it was a creative meets tech keys event, and BBD Software was one of the sponsors. And so we had people from all sorts, aspiring creatives, looking to get into tech as well. So we were training them, a lot of young black girls and also young black males as well at the event. So it was very amazing.
Oh man, that's fantastic. Let's start talking then about Fanelesibonge, right? I mean, you're a woman that is in technology, you are a software engineer. Take us through this journey and what actually inspired you to choose this field.
So I think it's hard to pinpoint what really happened and what led me to this position that I'm at today. I think the best way to describe it is Umama Winnie Mandela saying that fate determines your journey. And definitely it's something it's a butterfly effect, something as little as the butterfly flapping its wings and creating ripple effects into the future. But I think if I could think back, it would be my grandmother deciding that the only way to free herself from the oppressive grip of apartheid is through education. And so she said, she let my mom go to school. My mom has a driver's license. A lot of women back then couldn't even have their driver's license. And so having been exposed to an educated woman, growing in a household where our garage is filled with books, from Nomkhubulwane, Foxtails, to Shakespeare, Othello, to Great Gatsby, to physics and astronomy and maths, and having gadgets. So we would rent out our living space to be a computer renting services, so anything like faxing, photocopying. I would play Need for Speed games at such a young age.
Oh my gosh.
And I was always that child, I want a BlackBerry, I want that, and my mom would provide and continuously expose me to these different types of technologies, even though they were not amazing, but I would continuously be exposed. And also going to physics Olympiads, because we were in a school where if you're a top achieving student, you would go to these. So going into these spaces and seeing, oh, the world is actually bigger than I thought it was. And one day I was watching TV, I saw Siba cooking show and husband, and they were in Cape Town. I was like, this place is real and it exists. I want to go there. So I applied to the University of Cape Town, and in applying, as I said, fate, there was this one young black man in our community. He was the only one who had studied computer science, and he was working, I think, an internship at the time at Vodacom. So when we were applying, our first choice at every university we were applying to was computer science. So yeah, it's a ripple effect. It's all those moments building up together to where I am today.
I like that. I love how you spoke about, you know, the idea of some of the things that you were actually doing as a young child growing up, what you were actually exposed to, from your books to your computer games, even then mentioning Need for Speed, a game that you were playing, right? And I think at times we find ourselves, you know, playing with certain things growing up, right? But eventually we tend to distance ourselves from it because of a perception that is often carried about the different fields that exist, right? And when you look at the world of technology, it was highly or heavily male dominated. And one would then feel like, maybe I don't belong in this space, right? How did you then gather the courage to actually, you know, see yourself in it and practice in it and excel in it?
So I was lucky enough to grow in a family where I never heard the word impossible. And
that.
my mom, as I said, had a driver's license. So seeing a woman driving and driving a van for that matter and being the only graduate in her family, I've never really felt like there are spaces that I'm not accepted in until I went out into the world. I think my first class, my electronics and engineering class, another student, a male student, said, "Are you sure you're in the right class?" Because I was having makeup on. I think that's the first time where I maybe met resistance in that space, but growing up, it was always, even now, we believe in you. I always say, if I were to quit being a computer engineer today and say I want to be a rapper, my mom would say, go for it. You will be the best rapper in the world. Yeah, so she's always having that support from your family, that belief in you. So what it does in your mind is that the only thing you have to work on is the how. Because the psychology of it growing up, you already know that you're going to make it. But now you just have to focus on the how. It's not a matter of what if. That answer's already answered. You already have the answers because you have parents that actually believe in you. So
and you've like really just gone and excelled, and you've shown that you know what, it's actually possible. So much so that you represented South Africa at the BRICS Future Skills for Mobile App Development competition, right? That must have been an incredible experience. Can you share some highlights from the event?
So the initiative is basically the entire coalition, so Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa coming together and saying, let us level the playing field. What tech is China using? Let the South African youth be exposed to that tech as well. What skills are Brazil youth being trained in? Let us have South African youth being trained in those skills as well. So for me, that experience was beautiful. There was a lot of robotics automation. There was also airplane engineering. So a lot of skills that we learned, and having to be able to represent South Africa. We were flown out. It was a nice experience, learning different cultures. And actually at the event, I actually met Uvuyo. I don't know if you know the advert. Uvuyo is a big dreamer.
Yes.
And he was there and he was talking about how he actually was from Soweto and flew to America to work for Microsoft at such a young age. And so you are not only equipped with skill sets, but you came out of that event and that entire workshop being sure that you're going to make it because you had a tangible representation of it is possible. So it was such an amazing experience.
And that representation is so important, man, because sometimes people just go through those moments where, because they don't see someone that looks like them doing it, they tend to not believe it for themselves. So having people that are standing in those fields, standing proud and advocating for, you know, inclusivity, and that people actually just need to form part of it, is really, really amazing. We have run out of time, but just to wrap up our conversation, for people that are listening to you speak right now and are inspired by your journey, what words of advice would you give to a person that's still studying, that's still trying to figure out what road they need to take, but is actually in love with technology?
So there's a favorite writer of mine, her name is Toni Morrison, Mama Toni Morrison. She says, if you learn to surrender to the wind, you will learn how to ride it. And when I was young, I used to be scared of the big waves, and they would come and I would stand by the shoreline, and when they came to me, they were already just flat, and the wave was already dead. So I say jump in and ride the wave. Whether you're in media, there's media tech. If you're in medicine, there's med tech. If you're in agriculture, there's agri tech. You don't want to see in 5 years' time people riding and surfing the waves, and you just stood there at the shoreline. So jump in and ride the waves.
Oh my goodness. Fanelesibonge joined us in studio. Thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on all that you have achieved, and we look forward to the strides that you will continue to make in the industry.
Thank you.
Alrighty, that is all we have for today's Eat Job segment, but we hope Fanelesibonge's story has inspired you to explore the exciting opportunities in the world of IT and software engineering. And as you've seen, this field is not just about technology, it's about innovation, creativity, and shaping the future. So whether you're a young woman looking to break into the tech industry or someone simply curious about the possibilities, now is the perfect time to dive in. So keep pushing boundaries, keep riding those waves, keep learning, and remember, the future is in your hands. Stay with us, we'll be right back.